Los Angeles is a city so big that, well, I suppose World War II could be restaged within its borders and would go unnoticed by some. And the Super Bowl may be super stuffed to Dolphin fans in Miami, but out here the game is almost lost in the vastness that is L.A. Remember that it's Miami and Washington in the Super Bowl. It's not the Los Angeles Rams. And there will be no home team on the field in the Coliseum on Sunday. The stadium holds about 100,000 people. Each of the participating teams gets 12,000 tickets for its season ticket holders. The other 24 NFL teams get their ticket allotments. Out-of-town fans get theirs. So there are very few local folks as such who will be in the Coliseum to see the game. President Nixon, incidentally, won't be here. George Allen, the Washington coach, mentioned to me a moment ago that in his White House visit with the president, he said he didn't want to come to the game because it would take up about 100 tickets for the security personnel accompanying the chief executive. So in deference to the fans, Mr. Nixon will be watching the game on television. Last year, of course, the Super Bowl was played in New Orleans, and before that it was Miami. And hopefully Miami's turn will come again. Hank Meyer, the Miami Beach publicist, is out here with Joe Robbie, hoping to convince Pete Rozelle and the NFL to return the game to Miami. And if that happens, it could be that it will be, in every sense of the word, a hometown event with a home team, namely the Dolphins, as the host. This is Ralph Rennick in Los Angeles.
If I think there's one edge, it could be the determination of Kilmer to pick apart the Miami zone. I heard they had some injuries in it, and he might be looking for those areas. Billy's been known to just put the ball around, pick you apart, move right down the field. So I think if there is a little bit of an edge, I think it could be Billy Kilmer.
I see it this way, Bob. I picked Cleveland to beat Miami, and I picked Pittsburgh to beat Miami, and now I picked in this Super Bowl game Washington to beat Miami, so you make that what you wish.
I can't help but feel that Shula will come up with something in a clutch. If it stays a close game, I'd have to like him a little because of the gutty calls he showed me in Pittsburgh, and they're calculated. Whereas George Allen, he'll win on percentage of his chance.
When I do a game, I'm right down the middle. I have no partiality. I think this, and I honestly mean it, is going to be a dead even ball game. I don't see two teams better matched than this Super Bowl VII game. I think it's the best matchup they've had yet in the Super Bowl.
Miami plays their defenses better than anybody I've played. They play zones, and a lot of zones. They'll play a lot of double coverage, and they know where their help's coming from, and they just don't get out of position and where you can, throw the long one or throw an out or an in or dictate to them. See, and on offense, you try to dictate to that defense, but you can't do this to this team. They just know a lot about their defenses. They play them very well.
In other words, you think they'd be more difficult to beat on a bomb to Taylor as Dallas was?
Definitely.
As a cornerback, we have to, of course, contend with the run as well. It's my job to turn the runs inside to the pursuit, and that's going to be twice as hard on me as far as pass coverage is concerned, because they have such fine runners in Zonka, Kick, and Mercury Morris. So with that added responsibility, it sort of you have to spread your concentration, sort of, and so it's going to make it a little more difficult for me. I've got enough to do just trying to keep up with Paul.
Can you reveal to us whether or not there'll be some double coverage on Mr. Warfield or somebody else?
Really, we haven't finalized our entire game plan yet. I would hope that we'll use a combination of a lot of things, and I'm sure we will. I've played against Paul for the last 4 years now. And I guess I use him as a model for every receiver that I come up against. And I kind of rate the receivers depending on how they compare to Paul Warfield. He's just a fantastic receiver, and even more, he's a fantastic person in himself. He's a hard worker, and he runs probably the most precise patterns in the league. So I've got to have a lot of respect for Paul, and with Bob Greasy or Earl throwing to him, it makes him twice as dangerous.
What he probably was referring to me as the brains of the running game or something like that, I think that he was meaning that I play the run much better than any other phase of the game.
Do you feel that personally, when you come up against a club like Miami that has 3 great running backs, perhaps unlike most clubs or any other club in the National Football League, that this presents a double challenge to you come this game on Sunday?
Well, playing Miami is going to be a challenge because any team that wins 16 straight ball games has to be fantastic, and I think they broke all offensive records in football this year. We know we're going to have our hands full. They got the 3 good runners. They're fantastic. Greasy's back, and he presents a problem because he can scramble, and they have good receivers. I know we're going to have our hands full with these Dolphins, and there's nothing special we can do to stop them because they're strong in all phases of the game.
Fleming comes through in a lot of clutch situations, and when he has to catch the ball, he catches it, and he runs well with the ball, and he's strong. And people have looked at him as a primary, real good blocking tight end, and I think what's happened is that they've overlooked his receiving ability. This guy can catch the ball, and he can run with the ball very well.
It's tough when you haven't played the entire season because you certainly have your timing down very well, personally and with your receivers. But by the same token, I've worked for the last 4 weeks in practice and continue to work this week and getting it back. And if anything, where you're not as your timing isn't as good, so you either stay away from it or you're very much more careful when you do something like that. But I have no drawbacks or reservations about calling any plays, throwing any passes, or doing anything that I did before. I think the biggest thing is just being prepared, knowing what they do, what they like to do in situations, and having a knowledge in your mind what you want to do and taking advantage of it. Being prepared and being alert and seeing and doing it.
Every bit as much. Well, they've certainly proven that just the last game for them. But more than that, I think Dallas was the same team that we played, and of course, in as much as saying that, I think Washington is a little superior team to what Dallas was a year ago. So we've got our hands full, there's no doubt about it. Hopefully we've become a little better team and can sit in there and play our kind of game. And I believe if we do play our kind of game, which incidentally I believe is Washington's kind of game too, tremendous stress on special teams and special facets of the game, it's going to be a very close game that'll come right down to the wire.
Yeah, I think that it's more or less a scheme of something that Coach Schuler tries to put together before the game, but realizing that if things are going well with whatever's happening at that particular time, then I believe he's just going to go with that.
This game is going to be played in the Coliseum on grass. Is that going to make it a better ball game, or should it make a better ball game for you as far as footing is concerned?
Well, it'll make it a better ball game for me because it'll bring back some of the naturalness, that's missing from playing on polyturf. It's a strange psychological feeling about when you're playing on the polyturf as opposed to playing on the natural grass. And I'm just happy that when you're playing for all the marbles like we are on Sunday, that it's good to have as many things going for you as possible, and having to play on natural grass is one of them. Since the last time we were in the Super Bowl, that we've learned a lot about the game. Not only, the physical aspect, but the mental aspect too. I think this is one of the reasons why we've been so successful this year, and I feel real good about this game. I can't say we're going to win it, and I can't say we're going to lose it, but I can tell you how we're going to play in the game, and hopefully the result will be the same as it's been for the past 16.
Last year, I saw the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl, and I was saying then, just think if I got drafted by the Miami Dolphins. And when I got drafted by Detroit, I was really happy, because I figured I was with a good team and a lot of good people. And after I was in their training camp and saw how everything was, and after I got cut, but then when I got picked up by Miami, that's the greatest thing in the world that could happen to me.
Do you feel that should you be called on, do you have the confidence that you can do the job out there?
Yes, because I've been practicing hard, and the man got his confidence in me, and I have it in myself.
When Miami goes to the extra defensive back, will you be the guy perhaps that's going in? Can you reveal that to us?
No, that'd probably be Charlie Babb going in there.
Oh, I see.
Because I'll probably be taking Tim Foley's position on specialty team.
What about their overall strength and weaknesses? Are there any obvious ones that you'd care to comment on?
I tell you, they're the soundest football team we've faced since I've been coaching. I think the big difference in their ball club, as I looked at them last year and this year, is Mercury Morris. He gives them that speed that can turn a routine play into a long gainer.
What about defensively?
Well, they have a great defense. They led the
What
league.
about a difference in a fellow named Denherter? Perhaps that's the way we feel at Miami. He's been a big difference.
Well, he's done a tremendous job. Their defense is better. They're a year older. They've been through this warpath, this fanfare, all of this, what we're going through today, and this takes a lot out of your players.
The thing that really is one of my coaching philosophies is somehow, some way, get the winning edge in a ball game. It might come in a kicking game, it might come offensively, it might come defensively. Mental preparation, physical, conditioning, and we've been able to do this in Miami. We've won a lot of games in Miami because we're in better condition than some of the teams that have to come down there and play us in that weather down there. So we've gained edges that way. But when you're going against a George Allen coached football team, it's a little tougher to get that edge because he works pretty much in the same way.